Hi there, here to do your reading today, Sami. I'm going to start today with your Celtic Cross reading, which is about your spiritual question that was basically, you told me in your email that you have sort of been all over the place as far as different things you've tried, different philosophies and practices, and you're having a hard time settling on one. So we're going to ask today essentially for some guidance in that area of your life and that sort of problem. And you told me that you were Taurus, so I chose the Prince of Discs, excuse me, for you for your significator today. And I've already shuffled as I usually do because the question was a spiritual question. I felt today that I wanted to use the top deck, so we are going to use my main deck here. Okay. So covering you is the Prince of Wands, and crossing you is the Fool. Okay. Excuse me. Crown is the Hierophant, and root is the Nine of Cups. Past is the Five of Discs, and future is lust. And then how you see yourself, Priestess, environment, external factors, or whatever. Knight of Swords, hopes and fears, Four of Wands, and overall outcome, the Devil. And I'm going to leave him here so that I can fit all of this here. And bottom of the deck, as you guys know I like to read that, is the Four of Discs. So I'll put that over here. Okay, so I think it's really great that right away you have very spiritual cards to begin with. I think that you told me that this is something that you are not necessarily used to. That spirituality for you is not necessarily something that comes naturally to you. And I actually think that it is a part of you that does come pretty naturally, because you're shown here as the Prince of Wands, and I think the Prince of Wands is someone who is, on a spiritual quest very much. The Prince of Cups is on a quest for a different kind of spirituality, but the Prince of Wands is a little more philosophical about it. And I think that you are not necessarily a contemplative person, but you do feel driven to pursue spirituality. And I think it is because, on some level, it gives you a lot of real happiness. And this is something that I see that that comes really from the fact that you seem to be a pretty intuitive person. I think that you see yourself as having at least some concept of what your idea of truth is, and some concept of your personal divinity. I think that you understand that there's something there, and I think that perhaps what you want is maybe more of more depth to that or something. In the past you have the Five of Discs, and that could represent a couple of different things. Um, I think for the most part, I feel, I don't know. On one hand, your overall situation goes back to this Four of Discs on the bottom of your deck, and that tells me that in some way this question goes to this idea of security. And as a Taurus, security is one of your primary objectives in life. Really, is to strive to create security in your life and situations that are comfortable and safe. And so, in the past, I see that you have not necessarily felt quite as secure in one way or another. And I don't think it's necessarily, I think it's more your faith, even though it's been there, it's been a constant thing in some ways. It doesn't have a foundation. It's having a hard time finding something to latch onto. Um, And so I think that's why we get the Fool, because you know you are very ungrounded. You do have a connection of some kind, but it's not a particularly grounded one. Um, but at the same time, I feel like it manifests itself in the form of this happiness. Okay, I'm gonna come back to that possibly. Uh, all right. External factors are interesting. You have the Knight of Swords here in your external influences, and I kind of feel like you you kind of get swayed easily. I want to say by different influences. I think that I get the sense that you are just a curious person and you have a very curious energy about you. And you like to explore and you like to try new things out. And so I think that that might be a reason why you have a tendency to kind of shift gears really quickly and easily, and that might have something to do with this Mercury and Taurus instability in your past here too. Is that your uh, desire to explore a lot of different options and learn about a lot of different things uh, has in some ways benefited you because allowing yourself that room to grow, I think, is partially what makes the experience so pleasurable in the first place. Um, because I don't think that you have entirely been unsuccessful with your spiritual approach. I actually think that you've done fairly well for yourself because I can tell that have you've sorry cats that you've done some work. It doesn't want to be contained in anything yet, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. But you as a Taurus, you really want to be able to define what it is you believe here with the Four of Wands and your hopes and fears. That tells me that you want to establish this. You want to say, this is my practice and this is what I do. This is my routine and this is what I believe. And I think that that's also not necessarily a bad thing, but I think that can also be kind of organic. Beliefs don't have to be rigid, obviously, in any way. And I think fluctuation and change and growth is really natural and really healthy for faith of any kind or any type of philosophical pursuit. Now, it does say that the ideal thing for you to do here in this situation is represented by the Hierophant, which in this case seems pretty obvious to me. It means you need some sort of teacher. You need someone, some figure or in-person teacher that can sort of help you focus a little bit more and find something that's going to work for you. Um, and again, I think that is partially to do with your Taurian nature because the Hierophant is Taurus. Um, but yeah, I see you like striving to create more of an earthy tone to this situation, and in reality, it's a very fiery and airy situation here. Your central area is all fire and air, and very strong fire and air, and then everything upwards is like trying to get away from that, which I think is kind of funny. It's almost like you're fighting against yourself in a way. And I almost see that this earthiness is in a way hemming you in a little bit. I get this sort of invasive vibe from all this earth over here that's sort of ringing your reading, and everything else is much more free and honestly a lot happier in some ways. So I think that it isn't really 100% necessary for you to ever stop changing your outlook or ever stop trying to explore new things. And really, I think the best spiritualities or personal philosophies come from being able to bridge together a lot of different influences. I mean, that's just my personal thing and my own opinion, but um, I find that the writers of this type of material that I appreciate and respect the most are people who really know a lot about a lot, a lot of different things. And again, I think that that is perfectly normal for you to do. Um, and I also think it might be okay for you to sort of let go of that need as a Taurus to be a little more regimented and a little bit more secure. Um, I think you can trust. The funny thing too is that um, as far as excuse me, um, oh god, as far as stability and security are concerned, uh, the priestess as an influence in life really is secure in her own way. She comes across as in flux, but really she's always there and she's always guiding us. And so I think you can trust that that influence is going to continue to uh, to benefit your life and benefit your well-being, uh, as long as you trust in it. As soon as I have found in my own life that as soon as you doubt it, or as soon as you question it, or think, it's nonsense, the second it tends to go away, and then you realize how bleak things can be without it, and that's when you feel the most lost. And so really use that as your anchor, and just it's one of those things where you really just have to trust it and just believe in it. um, there is great value in faith and just believing. Once you have that proof that there is something, once you have that conviction, don't let it die. um, and putting it in a box, or so to speak, is not necessarily a way of protecting it or safeguarding it. I mean, it may be that doing something every day for you, some sort of ritual practice for you every day, you being you, might help you feel more in touch on a regular basis. In which case, then, yeah, you just need to find some person. I feel like it might be just a real person that you can really connect with, and really feel like you can gain a lot of wisdom from, and a lot of just good energy from. And if that person can inspire you appropriately and sort of guide you on the right track, then I think that's going to be a good thing for you, um, and will help you get to the place you want, I think, in a comfortable way. Um, because really, the Hierophant up there combines all the energies that you're looking for. It combines the lunar energy of the Nine of Cups and the Priestess down here with the Venus energy over here of the Four of Wands. And so you're getting that idea of established happiness, established faith, through the idea of this teacher figure up here in the Hierophant. Now, you're also getting, to be fair, some energy, some pickup from the Five of Discs over here, but I see this more as being a medicine for that and sort of fixing whatever bumps you've gone through in the past as far as trying to figure this out. Um, let's see. You do also have a lot of Leo. Lust is in your immediate future, and that tells me that you're going to continue to follow your heart with this, which is perfectly perfect. I mean, that's how it should work, really. You should let your passion be your guide with this type of thing, and follow that which you love. If you love a certain thing, with a certain aspect of this or a certain approach, or even if you love a mishmash of things that you've put together in some sort of collage, then that works too. As long as you love it, then it will work for you. And that's another message of the Hierophant too, being ruled by Venus. So much a huge aspect of faith and spirituality is just love, and genuinely loving in your heart and in your soul whatever divinity you've found for yourself. It's so important to love it very much. And again, I think if expressing that love for you is doing something on a daily basis, then find someone who can help you with that. The alternative is, if you decide to do a less teacher oriented approach, you can hypothetically let your intuition be your guide. I'm the type of person where I don't like being told what to do. And so teachers and I've liked to go about this my own way, and do my own research and do my own stuff and put things together on my own. Now that's worked for me. That might not work for you, and it might not work for many other people. Some people need someone to help them and show them things in a certain succession, and really guide them along, and that's totally okay too. And I feel like you're that type of person. Now your overall result is really good. Well, is interesting, I think, considering all of this. It is the devil, and I see that in a way as being very much related to both the Prince of Wands and lust, and the Hierophant because of the Earth connection there. Um, there isn't any other real connection there with anything else, but I definitely feel it resonating with this area right here in a very positive way. Even though this earth element I feel is almost infringing on all of this more vibrant energy down here. I mean, this is all very dark stuff up here, all your earth, and everything else down here that represents your spirituality as it is right now is sort of fighting against that in a way, and building up more against that. But the devil, I think, here is a good outcome for you in this situation, because it tells me that eventually you're going to go with whatever works for you, and you're not going to. I feel like you're going to go with, just your own individualism, and you're not going to ever really fully subscribe to any one thing that someone tells you. I don't think that, and maybe this is trying to tell you that you are a little bit rebellious as a person, and maybe you don't, in some ways, like me. Maybe you don't like being told what to do on some level. And um, maybe ultimately the best thing for you to do is in some ways to be your own teacher through your own experience. As I was saying before, maybe that is what's best for you. I think you have to sort of do some thinking there about who you are and how you best learn. Um, and maybe pursue a teacher for now, and just to get yourself going into a groove or something. I still think that perhaps finding some sort of guru is going to help you, but eventually later on in life, I do see you becoming pretty independent about all of this. And a negative way of reading the devil is that you could alternatively become very materialistic as opposed to spiritual, which would be obviously a bad thing, but I don't really think that's it. When I see that card, I think of that as being a symbol of free thinking, and this being a reading having to do largely with that idea. I think we can definitely interpret the devil as you becoming a free thinker. Whatever choice you make as far as instruction, I think the end result ends up with you being you being free spirit in terms of choosing to think freely for yourself, and in some ways sort of finally come to grips with the fool issue here that is at the heart of your problem. This sort of exploratory nature that you have, that I think in some ways you don't trust. And I think it's a part of you that doesn't necessarily like to be controlled or contorted or contained, really, and I think that revolutionary character is going to continue to shape you, and ultimately be what what makes the difference for you spiritually. Um, that's what I think. That's what I get out of this. Um, I believe that's about it. I'm pretty sure that's what I've got for you today. It was a pretty clear, straightforward reading, which is funny because you don't always get that. So your energy is very direct, and I kind of like that. Um, Nothing is more frustrating than not being able to sort of break past a barrier with people, and I don't get that from you, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, I think that you're on the right track. I really do. Just by being yourself and doing what you've been doing. I think just trust yourself, trust that that connection to divinity isn't ever going to leave you, no matter what you do. No matter what choice you make or path you take, that's never going to leave you. It's really the one guarantee in life, and that's always going to try its best to guide you. Just remain open to it, even if it doesn't necessarily fit a certain mold. Okay, so I hope that helped, and I'm going to do your 15 card in just a little bit. And thanks.